Coming up in this episode of Red Report, UNLV went north to take on their rival UNR for the Fremont Cannon.
Plus, we preview the upcoming UFC 268 fight.
And we have an exclusive interview with UNLV women's basketball coach Lindy Rocque. Welcome to Studio B on the campus of UNLV. This is the Red Report. I'm Jose Tabares.
I'm Isaac Polialunga. Before we dive into the local news of the week, we want to tell you what we're all about and what we hope to give you watching at home.
Every week for half an hour, we will cover UNLV athletics, the games, the events, the athletes, and coaches.
But we're also here to cover all of the major sporting events happening in Southern Nevada and tell stories you won't see anywhere else.
Let's begin with our top story. The battle for Fremont Cannon took place last weekend in Reno as the Rebels are still in the hunt for their first win of the season. There's no better way to commemorate Nevada Day than a classic in-state rival game between the UNLV Rebels and the Nevada Wolfpack in battle for the Fremont Cannon. The Rebels traveled to Mackay Stadium in Reno on Friday night in hopes to take back the Cannon and paint it red. But at the end of the game, the Cannon remains blue as the Wolfpack defended home field in dominant fashion with a final score of 51-20. The Rebels are now 0-8, still looking for the first win of their season and first win under Coach Arroyo. Consistency has been a constant issue for the Rebels as they have had an injury-riddled season, especially at the quarterback position. We go to Coach Arroyo on the issue of consistency and what the Rebels need to do to get better.
But we got to play with more consistency to beat a team like that. And that's hard when you're young and you're banged up and you're new guys in new spots. I get that, but you got to find a way to get it done. It's the only way you can beat a team like that. We got a slow start, and that had happened to us very often when we get things going. So we got to really look at what caused that. And it's hard to beat a team like that when you turn the ball over, get 2 touchdowns on interceptions, and you come out and slow start. And so we got to make sure we really are pointed with that and address it quickly.
UNLV continues the quest for their first win, traveling to take on the New Mexico State Lobos on Saturday, November 6th at 4 p.m.
UNLV Athletics is requiring fans to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination to attend basketball games this season, which would allow fans to attend games without wearing a mask. Those who are not eligible for vaccination may attend, but must comply with state and local guidelines. UNLV men's basketball tips off their season against Gardner-Webb on November 10th, and women's basketball home opener is set for November 13th against Montana State.
The Vegas Golden Knights have acquired center Jack Eichel from the Buffalo Sabres in a trade this week. The Knights traded away Alex Tuck, Payne Krebs, and a first and second round draft pick. How the Knights finish this season will determine what draft picks those picks are for. Eichel comes to the Knights having not played in a single game this season due to a spinal injury. Here is Golden Knights General Manager Kelly McCrimmon on the recovery process for Eichel.
It's really challenging to give you a time frame because it's never been done in this sport. I'm told that Jack has been able to be quite active in terms of training while he's injured, even being on the ice. It's contact that he would not be cleared to endure.
The Golden Knights hope Eichel will be a big part of the team for a deep playoff run. On the ice, the Vegas Golden Knights hosted the Anaheim Ducks on Nevada Day for their first meeting of the season. The Knights jumped out of the gates with an early goal from Riley Smith. They dominated the shot totals throughout the game and eventually got out to a 4-1 lead halfway through the third. When the Ducks came storming back with 3 unanswered goals to send the game to overtime, after a scoreless overtime, the Knights won with goals by Nicholas Rocque and Evgeny Dadonov.
The Golden Knights headed to Toronto to take on the Leafs to kick off their road trip. Mitch Marner scored for the Leaves in the first period, followed by 2 Austin Matthews goals in the second. The final goal of the game came from Leafs forward William Nylander. Knights fall to the Leaves with a score of 0-4. The Knights are still missing key players in their lineup and will now be without forward William Karlsson for 4 to 6 weeks. Here's what Coach Pete DeBoer had to say following the game.
This is a 4-game road trip. Didn't start the way we wanted to. We got to bounce back tomorrow and get ready for the next one.
Although it's been a good start to the season for the Raiders, some unfortunate, tragic news came their way involving wide receiver Henry Ruggs. Our reporter Jarrett Thompson has more.
Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs was faced with felony charges of driving under the influence of alcohol, resulting in death and reckless driving. The crash resulted in leaving a 23-year-old woman deceased, while Ruggs and his passenger were injured. The police said Ruggs was traveling at a speed of 156 miles per hour with the blood alcohol content twice Nevada's legal limit before the incident. Head coach Rick Bisaccia explained his takeaway from the news.
As a parent and a person that cares about young people and deals with young people every day, I really don't know if I could quantify what the emotions are.
Ruggs, who was the Raiders' 2019 first-round pick, is only 22 years old. The Raiders released an initial statement stating they are aware of the accident, devastated by the loss, and send their thoughts and prayers to the victim's family. Hours later, the Raiders eventually released Ruggs. Quarterback Derek Carr shared his condolences with the victim's family, as well as speaking about his former wide receiver.
He needs people to love him right now. He's probably feeling a certain type of way about himself right now, and he needs to be loved. And if no one else will do it, I'll do it.
Football gets set aside when something like this happens, as all thoughts and prayers are sent out to the victim's family. For Rebel Report, I'm Jared Thompson.
The UNLV women's volleyball team has been playing extremely well lately, but would lose to Boise State in the last set. We have Christian for that coverage.
The women's volleyball team lost to Boise State in the close game at the Cox Pavilion, ending their winning home streak. The impressive senior Hayden led all players with 24 kills and gained her third double-double of the season. Junior Shelby was also working very hard during the match and racked up a double-double of her own. She had 10 kills and a team-high 13 digs. On the other hand, the Broncos were also hungry for this game and wanted to prove they could withstand the Rebels' power. After falling behind 2-0 after the first 2 sets, Jordan Miller and another teammate, Jones, took it upon themselves to ensure the match wasn't over too soon. Jordan provided 13 kills, while Jones had a match high of 15 digs. And you can't forget the fantastic performance from Melissa Wissinger, who recorded a match high of 9 blocks during the game. The head coach, Don Sullivan, put together quite the game plan, but the Broncos would win this game. The fans were also in attendance and helped cheer on the Rebels as the match continued. At times, the Rebels looked to be in control of the set, but would not hold the lead. Boise State out-hit UNLV for the match and also recorded 63 digs to the Rebels' 57. The thrilling game had a total of 26 ties and 9 lead changes throughout the game. UNLV will remain home for a match against Utah State and another against San Diego State.
Coming up next, we get our exclusive interview with Running Rebels women's basketball coach Lindy Rocque.
If you haven't already, make sure to follow our website for more Rebel Report content. Our website can be found at www.rebelreportunlv.com. There you will find all of the articles and videos written and produced by our students, as well as exclusive stories you won't find anywhere else.
Hey, Alex, you ready to record the podcast?
Yeah, Barry, I'm ready. Let's get it going.
All right, sounds good. In 3, 2, 1. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Rebel Report podcast for another edition of What They Did Right with Alex Wright. I'm Brandon Steele talking UNLV football. Alex, what did you think of last week's game? Alex? Alex?
My bad, Brandon. I was looking up on Rebel Report's website. They got a ton of new content. VGK, the Raiders, Golden Knights, UNLV football. They got a ton of stuff, new articles that just were published today.
All right, man. Sounds good. No worries. So I guess we'll go ahead and just redo the intro for our podcast. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Rebel Report podcast. I am Brandon Steele alongside Alex Wright for another edition of What They Did Right. How you doing today, Alex? Alex, you good, man? What's going on?
Oh, my bad, Brandon. I just saw they posted the latest episode of Rebel Report. It's up right now on their YouTube page and their Facebook page.
Oh, a new episode's out now?
Yeah.
All right. So we might have to wrap this up and go watch that episode then.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. Get caught up on what's happening at UNLV and Las Vegas sports, then get back to our podcast. Make sure it gets posted on the Rebel Report website.
UNLV women's basketball is just around the corner, and our own Alex Wright sat down with the Lady Rebels basketball coach Lindy Rocque to preview the season.
Entering your second season, but this is kind of different because last year you guys had to go through COVID protocols and not sure when your season was going to actually start. So how good has it been for you and how helpful has it been for the team to finally experience this first true full off season?
You said it definitely feels more normal than anything did last year, which is kind of just refreshing and I think good for our routines and our psyche and just being able to spend more time together. So everything really feels normal, very kind of limited protocols. And so we're, able to focus really on basketball, on our team.
Obviously now more eyes are going to be on you. How is this group kind of answering to those expectations and kind of added pressure of knowing teams are going to give you their best shot every night?
Well, if anything, our external expectations are maybe more in line with our internal ones. Even last year, we had high expectations for what we knew we could do. And then, to have that success was really awesome. And especially this year, obviously we want to take the next step and raise the bar. And now to kind of have some of that external, respect and expectation, it's more in line, which I think is a good thing because that's where we want to be.
Two of the returning players from last year, Jay Thomas and Desiree Young. How have you seen them not only improve their game this summer, but how have you seen them step up as leaders and kind of guide the new players to let them know how you guys coach and what's kind of expected of them in this program?
Right. Well, Jade and Desi, they're sophomores, which really technically is still a young player. But because they're, one of three players that are returning and have played for me and our staff, we kind of are looking for them already for some leadership and treat them a little bit more like a veteran than, a sophomore. So, and they've taken that with stride. That I think they like that responsibility. They, command the kind of respect of their teammates and know what we want and how we want to go about things. So, I'm excited for them to take the next step.
Last year, there were no fans. What's it going to mean for the team and especially you being a Las Vegas native to have fans back and to finally see the Lady Rebels play in a full Cox Pavilion this season?
I'm really excited. I mean, I'd probably be lying to you if I didn't say if I was a little nervous too, but to be, a product of our Las Vegas community, to have 4 locals on our team, I really believe and excited about the turnout that we're going to have in our stands and the support that we're going to get from people that are new Lady Rebel fans, that are old Lady Rebel fans. I think our students can be a huge supporting group of our team, and part of the college student experience is doing activities and going out and seeing things and meeting new people. So I'm hoping that we can get a great student turnout, and they get in for free. So let's help pack the Cox Pavilion and meet some of our players and become friends with them, and it's easier to cheer for us.
The Lady Rebels won their exhibition game on Wednesday against the Cal State Los Angeles 106-45. They opened their regular season against Oral Roberts on Tuesday, November 9th.
Coming up next on the Rebel Report, we go to Brandon and Alex for the rundown.
thanks, man.
No problem, man. Are you interested in sports?
Yeah, man. How'd you know?
Well, obviously you're shooting hoops. Did you know that Rebel Report covers basketball?
What's Rebel Report?
Well, Rebel Report is a student-run organization that covers all sports. So, like, we cover football. And we also cover volleyball. We also cover hockey and many other sports.
Wow, that's a lot of sports.
Well, now that you know, you could check out Rebel Report for all your sports content.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll check it out. What am I going to do with all this?
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown on the Rebel Report. I am Brandon Steele alongside Alex Wright, here to talk about sports going on in the Las Vegas area. NFL obviously starting back up. The Las Vegas Raiders coming off of a bye. They will head to play the New York Giants on Sunday in a Week 9 matchup. The Raiders 5-2, the Giants 2-6. Two teams on a different side of the spectrum right now. Raiders riding a 2-game win streak. But the big news in Las Vegas right now, Jack Eichel is officially a Las Vegas Golden Knight. Alex, a trade that's been talked about for a long time now is finally official. Jack Eichel will be a Golden Knight.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise to wake up to for all Golden Knights fans when we saw that the trade broke at roughly between 4 and 5 in the morning local time. We've seen the Golden Knights do this before. They make the big move, the big trade to get the big forward, Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty in the past. Now we're seeing it with Jack Eichel, adding him to give some center depth. That's been an issue with the Golden Knights for a while now, and also add to their scoring because they've struggled so much on the power play this year. And in the playoffs, we've seen them struggle to score as well from their top guys. So looking to get a little bit more firepower on there when he's able to return.
Right, and we should let everyone know, if they don't already, obviously Jack has been in the NHL news for a long time. He asked for that trade when new management came into Buffalo. They kind of felt like they wanted to rebuild, and Jack even said in an interview on Sportsnet whiles back, he was like, look, if you want to rebuild, use me as an asset to get me to a contender, excuse me. He's finally on a contender here in Vegas. He obviously wants to get something done with his neck, a replacement disc in his neck, so it's not going to be Jack Eichel on the ice rolling these lines anytime soon, Alex. So with that being said, all the injuries, Jack's not going to be making a debut in the next coming weeks. What do the Golden Knights have to do to start getting wins? They're 4-5 right now, and Chandler Stephenson's been their best player.
Yeah, so obviously they're down so many big players right now. Just kind of rely on the guys that have been there for a while. You got Jonathan Marchessault, Riley Smith, some of the original Misfits who have been there, and you're going to need to rely on some of your defensemen to score, Alex Pietrangelo to step up, Shea Theodore, Alec Martinez as well, and of course Robin Lehner. He's played pretty well so far these first few games, even though the Knights are at about 500. So you're going to need him to step up and make some big saves, along with some of your current big stars to step up and contribute.
Yeah, totally agree with that, Alex. And this is why you play 82 games in the NHL. There's a lot of teams, Knights fans, that were in the playoffs last year, kind of dwelling down at the bottom of the standings, figuring it out. But the season's far from over. And maybe potentially by the end of the year, Jack Eichel will be on the ice with the Vegas Golden Knights. Another season that is on a different thing, though, that's coming to an end is UNLV football. UNLV football, 0-8 this year, 0-13 under Marcus Arroyo. Alex, how are they going to get this done?
Well, they have a good shot this weekend against New Mexico. UNLV is only 1-point underdogs. Both of these teams are very close in many of the at the bottom of the Mountain West in terms of rankings and defensive standings. So should be a really low-scoring game this week for the Rebels. They're going to need to rely on the run game, get Charles Williams going. Offensive line's going to need to step up, be more consistent, and we're going to need to see the Rebels not make any more mistakes, stick to the game plan. And this week is probably their last best shot to get their first win under Marcus Arroyo.
Right. UNLV is going to try to do that, and that will do it for the rundown. Let's go back to the desk for more Rebel Report.
Coming up, we wrap up UFC 267 and give a preview on the upcoming UFC 268 fight.
Don't forget to check out our weekly podcast on Spotify. Every week we break down all of the big sports stories happening in Las Vegas, including the Rebels, Raiders, Golden Knights, and much more.
And it felt like from the jump, they didn't really have a chance, unfortunately. Obviously, I wasn't there, didn't really feel the energy off the sideline or in the building, but watching it on TV, it just felt like they didn't roll out ready to play at all.
Where are you getting that from?
What, the song?
Yeah, you've been humming it all day.
It's the UNLV fight song and the Rebel Report theme song for last year.
Rebel Report? What's that?
You don't know what the Rebel Report is?
Nope.
It's a student-run program all about Las Vegas sports. It goes from UNLV sports to the Knights, Raiders, Aces, and more.
Really? Does it go over a little bit of other stuff too?
Yeah, everything to do with Las Vegas and sports in general.
I love Vegas. That sounds perfect for me.
Yeah, let's put it on.
Awesome. Let's go.
Everyone's humming it. I mean, it is pretty catchy.
Tired of boring sports talk shows that don't even cover the Las Vegas area? Want a sports show that's available for you at any time? Well, you're in luck because Rebel Report is just for you. The Rebel Report covers all the local sports stories in the Las Vegas area. You can visit their website at rebelreportunlv.com, where you can find all of the student-written and produced stories, shows, interviews, and much more. You can also visit their YouTube channel at Rebel Report UNLV for shows and exclusive interviews. The Rebel Report is the way to go for Las Vegas sports.
UFC 267 wrapped up this past Saturday. On the card, we saw Islam Makhachev submit Dan Hooker in 2 minutes and 25 seconds of the very first round. Makhachev believes it is time for him to receive his title shot.
Now it's time. Before it was like top 11, top 15 somewhat, but this guy number 6. Now I have to talk. How many fights? 9? 9 fight win streak. I'm ready for title fight.
The UFC now moves forward to UFC 268, which can possibly be the main event of the year. UFC 268 takes place this weekend, with the main event being one of the most talked about rematches of all time, as Colby Chaos Covington and Kamaru Usman face off for the UFC Welterweight Championship. Usman and Covington first met in December 2019 at UFC 245. The match was back and forth, but ultimately Kamaru Usman won by a 5th-round technical knockout. Colby felt the stoppage was early and is expecting a different outcome this time around.
I see a lot of holes, in his game, and I saw a lot of things that I did wrong that are going to be corrected. I've been at a new gym. I have my striking coach Cesar Carnero. We've worked, just extensively on little tiny game plan issues that Usman's not going to be able to stop. No one's exploited these weaknesses, and I'm the guy that can do it.
Usman is expecting Colby to make some adjustments to his fight plan, but he is not expecting the outcome to be any different than their first meeting.
I think obviously in this next fight he's going to try to be a little bit more strategic, but he's going to quickly realize that that's not going to work, so you're just stuck in there getting beat up.
UFC 268 takes place this Saturday at Madison Square Garden, with the main card starting at 7 p.m. From Rebel Report, I'm Isaac Paulialunga.
The Fall Classic is officially underway. We go to the Rebel Report reporter Siobhan Bowman with that coverage.
World Series is officially in full swing as the Atlanta Braves and Houston Astros face off for the ultimate trophy in baseball.
Braves jumped out to an early series lead by winning Game 1 in Houston. Game 2 goes to the Astros after putting up an impressive 7 runs as the series heads to Atlanta for 3 more games. The Braves are currently on the hunt for their 4th World Series title, their last one being from 1995, while the Astros are chasing their 2nd title after receiving their first one in 2017. Atlanta takes Games 3 and 4 to take a huge 3-1 series lead, but in Game 5, Houston takes over, even after a Braves grand slam from Adam Duvall. Houston wins Game 5 with a score of 9-5, and this series is going back to H-Town. Here's what Braves manager Brian Snitker had to say following Game 5.
You always love to do it here. I'll take it anywhere I mean, I don't care where we're at. I mean, if we can win a World Series, it doesn't matter to me where it is. I mean, I'd love to have done it in front of our fans. Hopefully we can, do it in the next couple of days.
Cleveland baseball fans are getting ready to enter a new era with a new team name. On Tuesday, work began to remove the Cleveland Indians' 80-foot-long sign down. The club, known as the Indians for more than a century, will enter the 2022 season now being known as the Guardians. The name change from the Indians to the Guardians comes just over a year after the Washington Redskins dropped their moniker for the current title of Washington football team. That will do it for this week's episode of Rebel Report.
Tune in next week for more Rebel Report.
Have a good weekend.